Again, today I don't have much to say. I believe it'll be short. However, there is always the possibility that I might accidentally stumble on something in the next couple of seconds and forget to stop talking. I don't have very much extra bandwidth today for thoughts, given that the majority of the time today I've been thinking and talking and sharing about things related to work. I'm very interested in the process of innovation, which is to say the meeting of minds and understanding of a problem from a great many perspectives, and the potential that's offered by facilitating that meeting of minds in a multi-dimensional manner, enabled by big data services. No, enabled by big data platforms, cloud platforms, distributed platforms, microservices, user experience, targeted tools that move data from one place to another quickly and specifically to enable very large moving pieces made up of many people trying to come to an understanding of something very large all at once together. I'm very interested in the potential there is in these technologies to facilitate something like that. It's a very promising experiment, potential experiment, and requires a lot of intense consideration, because it is a question of technologies and a question of design, and in some ways one of my favorite practices, which is user experience design or value proposition design. It's a question about communication and collaboration, which I also love conceptually. And it's a question about the ideal way of organizing around an objective. And I love it because organization is critical for making sure that things don't block one another, that at a certain scale you're not undoing the work that you set out to do. But we all operate semi-autonomously. We all operate in our own ways. We all do things a little bit differently. We all want freedom in some places where others would give us restrictions. So the idea of organizing, the idea of self-organizing around problems that emerge or objectives that emerge through collaboration seems like an ideal manner to construct a very complex yet very innovative system. And the technology exists to make this happen at scale, or it's starting to. Very exciting premise. Like I really feel like we are able to now have, because of new technology, both the independent ideation of the sole inventor, who spends so much of their time trying to understand the world, as well as the scale of the production line and the highly proceduralized rote processes. One gives you scale and the other gives you flexibility, but through this immense collaboration, focused on innovation, focused on user experience, focused on delivering toward an objective, you can combine these and get, I don't know what. We'll see. It'll be radical. Is that the sum total of my thoughts for today? No. It's thoughts about within an organization, within an existing structure of governance, within an existing structure of a business model that is immense and multifaceted and highly sequential, like I was describing with a, like the traditional manufacturing process, how to implement within those conditions, and how to introduce new concepts and technologies and ways of working. So that's part of a conversation, and that's always going to be unique to the environment. So no point discussing that at a conceptual level. Who's going to implement it? What technologies? What approaches? What skill sets? And then the fun part, the part that I really want to take my home projects, my hobbies with me to this conversation, but I can't, is what problems and who owns the problems? Because innovation is a different prospect depending on who is the user, who is the owner of the problem. What is it that you're actually trying to accomplish? And if you hook yourself to the right end user, if you hook yourself to the wrong end user, you'll never know what you're trying to accomplish because the person can't articulate it because they don't represent it. But if you hook yourself to the right source of requirements, things can really be immaculate. And I mean that both in terms of on a small project sense, or in working in the market when you identify your actual user demographic that's out there in the wild who's looking for some service that you can then provide and sell, or if it's humanity and how we coalesce around objectives and values. And it almost makes me feel like if you set the infrastructure in place to exchange information at scale, that societies can just coagulate in the midst of that shared understanding instantaneously. You know, it almost feels like you can just have something if you put the structures in place. The right initial conditions, and it's that I'm not saying anything revolutionary. Of course, that's true. You facilitate the exchange of ideas in some structured way, and this is the basis for shared human experience. Of course, that's not a controversial statement. Oh my gosh, this is fun. All right, so I don't have much to say tonight because a lot of these thought processes are not like they usually are inspired by reading, because I didn't have any time to read today because I've spent my time thinking about conversations that I had throughout the day at length about the people that understand this and from various perspectives, and how we can implement something like this at a scale that's going to change things. It's going to change things. Okay, that's it. Have a good night, everybody.